Welcome back to After Hours. I'm Gavin. This is, of course, Maddie. We are going to be talking about crypto today, and I'm extremely excited here, Matt, because the moment has come for us. Bitcoin is at $67,836. We are nearing the previous all-time high. Maddie, how are you feeling right now?
Sentiment-wise, I feel good. I see that we've also had some nice catch-up moves in the altcoin market. Obviously, with dominance up right now, it still shows that Bitcoin's not really ready to quite take that cool-off move that is very much needed. But I think more than anything, what we're seeing here with this price appreciation ahead of the halving, which has been really a big narrative for so many years now, is that, hey, you have this, supply shock effect that comes in as we near halving dates, where essentially the Bitcoin reward is cut in half every 4 years, right? But we're seeing behavior that deviates from that very, very greatly here. So we haven't really rejected strongly from these retrace levels. We've just blasted right through them. We are potentially going to see here a new all-time high pre-halving. I would actually not be surprised if we broke into an all-time high in the next week or two here, just kind of based on the momentum that we have present. So, I think that it's also a good lesson for us of, yes, we need to look at previous indicators in previous cycles to kind of help us give us clues of what could happen in the next cycle. But none of this stuff is guaranteed, because if it was all guaranteed, right, everyone would be entering on one date and then making their money by another date, and we'd all do it and rinse and repeat, right? There's always curveballs in the market, and this is one of them. But hey, it's a nice surprise at least, right? Not the opposite price action that usually hurts our feelings.
Maddie, we may have some beginners here, as on TikTok, on Instagram, we're having a flood of people come in here that are new to crypto, most definitely. You see the beginner questions, you're like, oh, you're new, which is, we welcome you guys. We welcome you. Come subscribe here. But Maddie, I think a question many of them may have right now, let's just talk about Bitcoin for a second. Is it too late to be buying Bitcoin right now?
I think from a risk to reward standpoint, which is really where we always need to take our minds to, is, what is the potential downside here if I enter at this very point and, we need a correctional move instead of continuation to the upside? What does that maximum downside look like? If you say, I don't care if the price equals that, in the next several months, my vision for this entry is, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, right? Maybe that doesn't matter to you, right? But I know a lot of you guys are not in that boat. In fact, I would say that most of you guys are not in that boat. And you're more of the mindset of, hey, I want to be tactical. I want to try to get some money in at an optimal point, and I want to extract as much money as I can from here from a profit standpoint as humanly possible, right? So right now, buying basically the previous all-time high of Bitcoin is kind of a risky move, right? Will we probably break into a new all-time high soon here? Sure. But there's many of altcoins right now that are much further back that are providing a more asymmetric opportunity, and essentially just putting you in a more safe spot in relations to your actual entry point. So again, if you have your eyes on Bitcoin, I'm not telling you guys what to do. We never offer financial advice here, but when you're right underneath the previous all-time high and there's plenty of other opportunities that are not anywhere close to that, where do you guys think you guys should put your dollars, right?
Maddie, I would have to agree. And just talking about that, where you're putting your dollars right now, as I would assume it's altcoins right now. How are you feeling about your altcoins right now? Because, I talked about it with you last week, and there is a lot of, some, not a lot. If you're in our community, if you're in the Discord, you're obviously getting very excited for the moments that are upcoming here, because, altcoins have to really surge and catch up with the moves that Bitcoin has been doing. But many of you guys, and you guys are probably new, are very skeptical of our asset picks, like XRP, like Casper. And many of you have said, oh, your guys' asset picks aren't doing what every other asset. You guys don't have a CAS asset. I'm like, okay, let's take a step back here, all right? What are our picks here, all right? We got XRP. We got Casper, we have HBAR, we have API3, we have Zcash. I know Maddie is looking at Render right now. Maddie was looking at that Render entry and never got it. And that is a very strategic approach that Maddie implemented there, but didn't get to execute on that the way he wanted to, just because the risk to reward wasn't there for him, right? So we're implementing smart strategies, but I have to tell you guys, team, our assets are doing just fine. Like, I'm super excited today. This is the most I've ever seen my crypto portfolio up. And if you guys are in the comments right now saying, "Oh, you guys don't have the right assets," what about API3? API3 is one of the best performers of altcoins that's happening right now, above many of what the other altcoins are doing from that 100 to 200% region, like HBAR has done. So there you go. There's another altcoin that has done well. So those are like our 3, 4, 5 picks in our portfolios, but we are awaiting for that XRP move, that Casper move. And I was telling Maddie last week, this has really worked out in our favor. We come from Crypto Charge, where Maddie, Dan, Brian consistently talk about what they're investing in. And these two assets, XRP and Casper, have offered so much time for you to accumulate in the bear market. And so it doesn't matter if you came at the beginning, if you came at the middle, or if you're nearing the end right now, or just joining us right now. These assets are still offering tremendous opportunities. And that can't be something that's overlooked. Again, we're from Crypto Charge, so we talk about our assets with the community, and that time spent in the bear market able to accumulate is very helpful to us. If you're dollar cost averaging, that is very helpful to you. So Maddie, quickly, when we'll get into the news here, I just wanted to get that off. Talk about how you're feeling about assets like XRP and Casper, and maybe just like your altcoins in your portfolio.
Yeah. So, again, guys, everyone's perception of what's doing well is very subjective, right? For some people bought Bitcoin at, a couple $1,000s, right? And even in the bear market, Bitcoin's doing really well for them, right? Because even at a higher low of $15,000 and they bought it at a few $1,000s, right? They're all still in a series of higher highs and higher lows. To them, Bitcoin is doing well. But to somebody who bought Bitcoin, let's say towards the top of the last cycle, let's say in the $45,000, $50,000 range, right? And then they saw Bitcoin down, down at 15K, Bitcoin's doing really bad to them, right? So I want you guys to think about those things. A lot of you guys, pull up on these small charts on CoinMarketCap or whatever, and that's kind of your perception of the health of an asset, right? For example, my XRP average down there in the low 30s, right? So 2x there. Casper, I was scooping up heavy in those mid 2.5 cent regions, right? We're trading at 4.5 cents right now. API 3, I was scooping up sub $1. API 3 was, well over $4, $4.50, did a nice little trim there, right? So, for me, when I've already had this long-term vision of, hey, I'm going to accumulate to this next bear market. We're going to assume it's probably going to be about a 2-year bear market, give or take. We ended up being relatively right about how long an average bear market takes. Now, those can be longer, those can be shorter. But I took, a lot of time to make sure that I did a good job accumulating there. So why would I have this rushed expectation on the other side of my plan, right? My exit plan, where I have this very tactical and consistent approach on the entry, but I have these weird, strict timelines about what's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen by this time, you're probably in the wrong asset, right? Guys, I promise you that I've done sufficient research, more than sufficient research on the assets that I have chosen here. And that's because I do want to have, again, the flexibility if, we want to hold some of these extremely long-term, that I'm investing in really, really good tech on top of finding those good TA setups. So, and VeChain's another good example of that. We were accumulating lots and lots of VeChain down there kind of towards that 1 penny region. We've had a very nice break on VeChain here. A lot of people get very, very sucked into the idea of, well, hey, the meme coins are firing off right now. So that means if XRP hasn't fired off with the rest of the meme coins, it's not happening. In fact, it's the other way around usually. Meme coins firing up or starting to get a little hot is generally an indicator that the altcoin market as a whole is getting ready to rip, right? So I'm already positioned. I'm not in that boat where I have to FOMO with the rest of you guys and try to find the next shiny thing. Locked and loaded. So for me, I'm just being patient here. I'm taking each little leg we do get up here with gratitude and, a lot of optimism. And, we only had to flip a couple key levels here on a lot of these alts in order to see like significantly higher prices. I'm talking about, not talking about, 50, 60% moves, talking about 4, 5, 6, 7 X's, right? And we only have to flip a couple major resistance levels in order to really get that going. So, don't feel like you need to jump ship a lot. If you find something new and you really like it, lock in with some new capital and that's fine. But try not to do too much crazy shuffling here just because you're impatient. Generally, those impatient people end up being very regretful when they finally do get that move. And it's generally like in a short period after you end up selling, right? That sideways action is really what drives traders out of the market. It's not so much downward action. Sideways is much more, torturous to the average retail investor.
I like that. And last thing I'll say here is, and I don't want to sit on my high horse here and say I know all or whatever, but I will say this, and there is one skepticism I will address. And the one is like, what about those rotational opportunities, right? And we haven't seen that. My portfolio is largely 40% XRP and 30% Casper. So the rotational opportunities, I'm not being able to capitalize on them right now. But I did capitalize on API 3 as a rotational opportunity. I took those
Right.
profits and rolled it into Zcash. I rolled it into Casper. I could have done the same thing on HBAR. So those opportunities are there with the assets we are choosing to invest in. And like I said before, we have to honor our community. And these are people that are boomers, that are millennials, that are new to crypto. And for their first cycle, swing trading their bag on the way up isn't helpful for them. These guys are professionals. These people are constant in their day-to-day lives. They're away, and then they come to the show and they hop in the Discord and they want to know what's going on. And so assets that we've picked, Maddie, I got to be honest, are some of the best assets that we could have chose because they haven't made their move yet. They're still offering time for me to continue DCAing in. And so I'm excited for that. I'm excited for these upcoming weeks and months. But let's get into some of the news here, and we're going to be talking about a little bit about Coinbase, a little skepticism about Coinbase. I know last week I think their platform like froze or like something of that nature. I have it written down here. And then this week there's also some people that are a little bit weary. So we're going to get into that right now. We're also going to be talking about some NFTs. Oh my gosh, you guys, you got your NFT boys here. We're not NFT boys, but we're going to talk about them for you guys because I did tell you guys, hey, I know one that's going to be at the top, and surely I watched it go up today, this NFT project, and I watched it from this morning go up from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1. Now it's the top NFT in OpenSea, and I just thought that was hilarious. And then we're going to talk a little bit about predictions and this AI tool to predict assets. So we're going to get into all of that, team. We are Crypto Charge. This is the after hours show, so I know that was a little bit lengthy. We wanted to talk to you guys a little bit, and but we're going to get into the content right here. So let's start off with Coinbase. Coinbase crashed last week and now today are struggling to show customer balances. So I'm going to be pretty direct here. Maddie, is this the moment to be even bringing our cryptos onto exchange like Coinbase, like MEXC, like the exchanges we are using right now? Is it even worthy? Because, I think it was today. I don't even have it written down. Coinbase, it froze on people's accounts and they couldn't see their balance. So there's a lot of things happening with Coinbase right now, and this is just signs of this is the telltale of the bull run. What are you doing? Are you bringing your cryptos onto exchange? Is it even worthy to bring your cryptos on exchange right now?
So I have an Insight Trading View, a bunch of alerts set, and they go push notifications to my phone, and they also go to my desktop as well. And basically, as price crosses over some of these areas of interest, I get an alert, and that will be kind of my trigger to move a tranche of whatever asset onto an exchange. And maybe it's a little bit too conservative, and maybe some of you guys would rather have it there earlier. I just don't see the benefit of having them there any sooner than I actually intend to sell it. So, for example, I've got a limit on XRP or an alert on XRP up there in the like 350 region. So when XRP starts to cross $3.50, I get an alert. That's more than enough time for me to, go move those coins on exchange, set some limits, and then be ready to sell that tranche, right? And I have a variety of other alerts set for other altcoins as well, so that I am prepared to move those on exchange. Previously, I had my API 3 on exchange because I already saw the breakout. I was getting ready to do that trim. I made sure those limits were set there in Coinbase, so I didn't even have to think about it. I did it right in Coinbase Advanced, so you can automatically have it set to sell at a certain price, right? So that's one of the benefits here, guys, is I can't promise you every single time this will work, but you have a higher likeliness of getting your order filled if you already have the coins on exchange and already have the limit set versus trying to log in and send in there. So even if you can't log into your account, there's still a possibility that order will get filled if the limits are set ahead of time. So I try to kind of hedge a little bit both, right? Like I still want them on early enough to where I'm not fighting everyone at the big Fibonacci levels that we all know that we're looking for. And I'm moving those coins on there, and then I'm setting a handful of limits to kind of just scale out to make sure that, any sort of volume I want is done, over like a variety of prices within that cluster. But I want to try to do that as close to that price as possible. So right now, the only thing that's sitting on exchange right now is 20% of my Casper bag, because I'm going to potentially do a trim there with Casper if we get the pop towards this next liquidity zone. But as far as the rest of my holdings, they're in cold storage right now. I'm just not leaving them there. Coinbase goes down, guys, and at most exchanges go down when there's this big a volume. Eventually, it'll be fixed. But it's frustrating. But it's part of it, guys. If you don't have exchanges that besides Coinbase and it's your only one, yeah, you're going to be frustrated. But you know what? Even with Ledger Live, let's say I get stuck, right? And Coinbase is down. Let's say all my exchanges are down and I'm not able to connect to them. Even inside Ledger Live, I can at least connect to DEXs and other market makers, and I can actually swap inside of Ledger for stable coins or other things, right? So I actually have more flexibility being inside Ledger than just being stuck inside of Coinbase or any other exchange.
All right, Maddie, quick, we need to update this because we haven't done it in a while. What are the best exchanges right now that, our subscribers can be utilizing right now?
Yeah, so I've covered this a few times. Kind of the big combo I'm using right now is a combo of Coinbase and MEXC. I use Coinbase for primarily my DCA, as well as any just like major sell limits. And that's just because I also have that Coinbase One membership. So $30 a month, you get unlimited or no trading fees up to $10,000 in trading volume per month. So that's a really, really easy way to go about that, right? But then I also use MEXC to pick up things like Casper, or as if I want to do any leverage trading, those are kind of the what I do over there. Or if I really just want to fill like a large spot order, I'll go do that on MEXC instead, just because I'm going to pay a little bit less, and I'm also just going to get a little bit of a tighter spread. Coinbase is not the best with fees, and if we did not have Coinbase One as an option, I don't think I'd be doing my DC there at all.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely need that Coinbase One. I was wondering because I was looking at my bank statements and I haven't got charged for Coinbase One in a while. And then I went to Coinbase's website and looked it up. Oh, I set up for an annual plan. So it's $239 per year. I'm like, that's awesome. That's sweet. And that's if you think about it, like how much you'd be, DCAing over the course of a year and all those fees, all those fees that get racked up, it makes a lot of sense. So if you're into crypto, if you have a Coinbase account, you got to have Coinbase One. That's almost like a non-negotiable at this point. All right, let's move along here. Let's talk about Maddie's favorite subject, which is NFTs. Bitcoin NFTs make a comeback in weekly sales, flipping Ethereum. Bitcoin non-fungible tokens sales have just surpassed Ethereum over the last 7 days following a sudden spike of Bitcoin ordinals-based NFT collections. So, Maddie, I'm going to pull up the OpenSea chart after you give your spiel. I just want to hear your spiel about NFTs right now. This is very interesting that Bitcoin's flipping Ethereum because before it was Ethereum NFTs all last bear market. That's all you heard about. So what are your current thoughts on NFTs right now? Are you going to be buying any NFTs this cycle?
So first of all, I'm not anti-NFT. I think that a lot of people look at NFT and they look at the current market, which is basically digital art, which is perfectly fine, right? Like there's a huge market for art that people, buy and sell in now. People study it, they get into it, they understand what pieces they can buy it at, what they can sell it at. And they also have made a lot of relationships with other people who deal art and buy art, right? That's a big caveat to being an art dealer, right, is you have to be able to have a network. So when you do, buy pieces or help someone else buy a piece that they need to sell to someone else, you can create those relationships and you can find those liquid pockets, right, the liquidity. In relations to Bitcoin ordinals, though, which is basically Bitcoin's form of NFTs, I want to say it was last year, we were having an issue when people just started inscribing and it was backing up the Bitcoin network really, really badly. So it seems like we're not having a terrible time with congestion this time, but that is something to consider as we, progress through this bull market. If Bitcoin ordinals do become very big, that could cause Bitcoin gas fees to go really, really high, right? And it could also create a blockage like we saw before. So you could be sitting in a very long line to get your actual transaction confirmed, okay? So those are some of the things we consider, just basically the same problems we have with ETH, right? They get out of control and next thing you know, you're paying, 3 times the face value of whatever your NFT is in ETH gas fees, right? So at that point, you might as well just hold on to it than, losing money on the deal and selling it. So with NFTs right now, I think the hype is definitely still very present. I think that we'll see lots and lots of collections and new collections as well go absolutely ballistic. But again, the big thing for me when it comes to the NFTs is the liquidity. There's nowhere to just dump your NFT, right? You can't just go to Coinbase and say, give me face value for this NFT. They don't care, right? You have to put it up. You have to set a price for it, and you're going to be competing with people who maybe just want one piece in the collection. They don't care about the rareness of the trait. So they're going to scoop whatever the cheapest one is off the floor, right? The floor price there. So, it's sometimes you might have to negotiate as well, right? You can't necessarily get what you think you should get for it. You have to go for what, how fast you want to unload it. You have to still time the craze that happens within the NFT markets, and you have to also hope that the collection you bought into still has that hype around. I would say that NFTs are probably a bigger hype issue than the rest of crypto, right? Like even meme coins, I think that NFTs require a lot more like quote unquote community and a lot more hype in order to see those projects move forward, right? Over time, what we'll see is this NFT market, change dramatically, because we're going to have real art that's now tokenized that people can buy and sell. You're going to have statues and sculptures and all kinds of real world art that's going to be digitized, and that's going to siphon a lot of the value from just the digital art that's out there, for people to buy pieces of actual NFTs that represent a expensive piece of art or something like that. So I think this is a good start in relations to us being able to trade any sort of item, whether it be a piece of art or a collectible or just something of value, whether it be a watch or a vehicle, being able to own parts of that, being able to sell parts of that. But right now I do believe that a lot of the digital art out there isn't worth what people are making it worth. I do think that a lot of it is out there being used for laundering right now, and that's true in the traditional art world now, but I just don't think that people genuinely feel like Bored Ape Yacht Clubs were ever worth several $100,000, right? That's just my personal opinion, but I am excited to see the NFT marketplace mature over decades.
It's funny you brought up Bored Ape Yacht Club, because that was the one I called out, but it's just funny because I initially thought, okay, like Bored Ape Yacht Club, I don't want to compare it to Bitcoin because that's just not comparable, but Bored Ape Yacht Club was the big mover of last bull run. Like a lot of these bigger industry guys that maybe weren't all the way into crypto had a guy and he's like, hey, you need to buy a couple of these Bored Ape Yacht Clubs, they're gonna go crazy. They were right, but then you got like guys like Gary Vee, and he's like calling up, who was it, Logan Paul. He's like, you need to get in this Bored Ape Yacht Club, you need to buy as many Bored Apes as possible. And then it went to not very much money. What was it, a couple $1,000s, if that. Right. I remember, Justin Bieber was another one. I think he bought a couple, and it went very, very, very low to say the least. But if we look at today, Bored Ape Yacht Club at the top of the list on OpenSea here, not trending, actually it is number 2 trending, but at the top of the list on OpenSea here. Let's take we'll just take a brief look, Maddie. And okay, they're going for 19.2 ETH, almost 20 ETH. Yep, 20 ETH there. And let's just see. I want to see let's get some analytics here, or maybe I wanted to see actually activity. How many people is actually buying these up right now? Okay, well look at that, Maddie. We got 12 minutes, 16 minutes. So a lot of people are buying up Bored Ape Yacht Clubs right now for 18 ETH right here, and
that's quite a bit.
Yeah, so I mean, hey, Bored Ape Yacht Club is back. I told you guys it would be back. I know that's not really like a good I'm no real value there. I think we all could have predicted that one, but it's just interesting to see where it's back up to. It's not at a couple mil, but $66,000 for a NFT. And I gotta say, man, these NFT arts are lame. Like, this is not, I didn't think it was cool then. I don't think it's cool now. Like, okay, let's talk about Gary Vee, because he had his I don't know. Yeah, VeeFriends is what it was. It actually had some real world utility. I don't remember if it was like a restaurant or it was something of real world.
It was a sushi restaurant. Yeah, if you held the NFT, then you could dine at this exclusive sushi restaurant. So you're talking about the real world utility of the NFTs.
Yeah, and I really like that, and I was very turned on to Proppy when we kind of did that. It was like a month span where we were just talking about Proppy and what it can bring to mortgage and real estate. And I like NFTs like that, NFTs that are tickets. Okay, that's just cool. That's just kind of for like the flair of it. Doesn't really offer anything really proprietary other than you just send the NFT. Yeah, it's a one of one, and that's cool, but it can't be duplicated, but that's about it. But I do like these real world use cases when it comes to NFT. So I wasn't bashing Gary Vee earlier. I like Gary Vee a little bit, but it was just funny. Just funny. He was just getting a bunch of people on a calls and just, you need to buy as many Bored Apes as you can right now. Take a load, liquidate all your savings. Okay. Okay, let's move along here. We're done talking about NFTs. If you guys want to know a little bit more about NFTs, we can get into it a little later on, because it has like a meme coin effect. Nothing really proprietary offering with a lot of these art, which isn't really good in my opinion, but they do move quite a lot. So we'll talk about that more as the bull run goes on. But what I want to talk about now is this article that came out, and it has to do with XRP price. And it has to do with using AI to come up with the future price of XRP, Maddie, which is interesting. So I'm going to throw it at you right now. I want you to give me your take on this, because it's very interesting how they're using AI to kind of mask what's really going on here. So machine learning algorithm predicts XRP price for March 31st, 2024. So just at the end of the month here, with projections suggesting a potential increase to 70 cents by March 31st, based on indicators like RSI, Bollinger Bands, MACD, average true range. It would represent an increase of 6% from the current price of XRP. So going in, I grabbed, actually, I have it written down right here, but I want to pull up what they actually said on their website. Here we go. This is their prediction methodology, not mythology. Our, maybe a little bit mythical there.
A little bit of both.
Well, you'll see. Our price predictions are determined using various machine-based algorithms that monitor the relative strength index, moving average convergence divergence, moving weighted average, average true range, and Bollinger Bands for each specific cryptocurrency. By processing this data through our machine learning technology, we can try to predict the direction the market is heading and forecast future price points. Maddie, is this bullshit?
So all the indicators we talked about here, like nothing new, right? Like these are things that people have been using for decades, like actual decades, before we even had really nice software and stuff. And also bots are not new, guys. Like I come from Forex. I've been pitched and shilled every bot program you could possibly see out there. And here's the thing: if the bots consistently worked, everyone would be using bots, right? But they don't, because you know what? Market makers continuously change up their strategy. They will show you patterns and print those patterns multiple times, and then they'll stop printing those patterns to throw the bot and the algo off of its game. And I really don't have any issue with us talking about where price could go, right? We're trading above this moving average, so we have momentum in our favor, right? That's just a fact, right? We are trading above the average price of the last 50 days, right? A 50-day moving average. That's not an opinion. That's just two data points that you're discussing, and it's a fact, right? And that can suggest, right? And then the interpretation, the analysis of that is it's above this moving average, so we have more bullish momentum in our favor, right? Or we have a pivot zone. We were previously had a very difficult time breaking above this price. We are now trading above this price. We have not broken below this price. We now have a lot of momentum in our favor, right? So they're just saying that these bots are basically able to take these indicators and not only predict the price increase, but they can also say it's by this date. And I'm personally not a believer in that. I can't tell you how many articles that I've read over the last, I don't even read them all the way through now, over the last 7 years about XRP to this price by this day, right? And they kind of at the beginning, it's a little exciting. You kind of want to see, why it's going to get there, and you want a little bit of hope and you want a little bit of excitement, right? But the reality is nobody knows. Like, go look on Twitter and just search Bitcoin buy and go see, how many hits come up of people predicting Bitcoin by this date. By the end of this last bull run, everyone was calling for another like $100 and something thousand increase in Bitcoin in a very short period of time, and it didn't happen, right? And those are the things that get the clicks. Those are the things that get the attention. But I refuse to engage in that, because even if you want to say you're using bots to identify it, right, all it takes is one little change in the stroke of the algorithm that the market makers are using, and guess what? Your bot doesn't know anything anymore. So I just want you guys to understand that they're taking very basic data points, and they're just trying to like draw an imaginary line to where it's going to go. If I were to draw a trend line from the bottom of trend all the way to the top of trend, and if I were to say, because this line is in place, we can never, ever, ever deviate from the trend that's intact right now, right? That's absolute nonsense. You'd be like, Matt, that's stupid. Like that, what if it, breaks slightly below and it breaks back above? Is it still valid? Well, technically, according to a model like this, the whole system would be broken, right? Because the model didn't work, your entire thesis doesn't work. So I don't trust bots. I don't ever mess with bots. I just use very, very basic market structure, momentum indicators, and then I trade without timeline expectations. The second you try to find all these little edges to give you timeline expectations, that's when you fall off the deep end, and I'm not even interested in having a conversation with you anymore, because you've absolutely lost it. Stop trying to time the market. Just try to look for good asymmetric opportunities from a technical perspective, and then give yourself a large time horizon, and you're going to feel a lot better.
Yeah, and even so, like if you didn't gather what I was talking about when it came to their methodology, they're just indicators that you can pull up in TradingView, that Maddie pulls up in TradingView. You've seen Maddie, pull his moving averages, and sometimes he looks at that RSI. But they're taking all this data and they're throwing it in their machine learning algorithm and spitting out an answer, essentially. I would rather listen to Maddie here, which looks at all those things and then comes up with a conclusion. And they also didn't say anything about Fibonacci sequence at all. So I was like, oh, okay, then I'll write it, whatever. But anyway, so going to their disclaimer here, I just thought this was interesting. It is important to keep in mind that our predictions are based on historical data and should not be considered financial advice. Well, good little disclaimer there, but historical data, obviously you can see by those indicators there. So is it AI? Do they have an algorithm? I don't know, man. Like they're just pulling up these indicators that you can easily pull up on TradingView, and they're spitting it through something. So that's all the research I've done on this. It's pricepredictions.com if you want to look at it, and their website right here. So they have all these cryptos right here. So let's just take a little peek at Bitcoin here. Based on our Bitcoin technical analysis, we are noticing a bullish trend in the long term. As such, we predict that the price of Bitcoin will increase by $2,631.22 over the next 7 days. Wow, that's interesting here. Good thing they have their little disclaimer here just in case that doesn't happen. Maddie, do you think this is likely?
I mean, at this point, if we were to take current market sentiment and say, yeah, we have a ridiculous momentum in our favor, right? Bitcoin's pushing up on $68,000, right below the all-time high, right? That's kind of like an obvious, like, yeah, we're probably in the next, week or two going to set a new high here for Bitcoin. But I would be interested if the same bot were to have any sort of actual meaningful analysis that's actionable in a bear market per se, right? Would it still be able to say, hey, in a year and 5 days from now, we think that XRP is going to be this price or Bitcoin's going to be this price? Because otherwise, what are we doing here? We're just taking moving averages and a handful of other indicators that show us kind of like a general curve that price could follow and saying this will apply on a timeline-based situation, right? Same people do with trend lines too. Like I was just talking about, they'll say, well, it has to break by this time. And that's not true either. I've seen price get to the very bottom of a trend line and then just trade sideways. Like it doesn't have to break by that time. We're still just taking what we think could happen and trying to apply a timeline to either moving averages that are moving up or down, or we're trying to apply them to trend lines that are moving up or down. And again, that's not binary. Like that's absolute nonsense. You can have a trend line broken very early and you can have it broken very late.
Base take, Maddie. I like that. Team, I want to give you some resources right now because you may be a beginner or you may be an expert, but I want to throw a couple resources at you that you could utilize. So obviously, Crypto Charge is who we are, cryptocharge.com. That's where we come from. And we have tools and a lot of resources that you could use over there, one of them being the beginner's course. So 45-minute course. It has quizzes at the end of each video. I think it's like 6 or 7 videos, and it will integrate you cryptos, a little bit of TA, a little bit of safety when it comes to crypto. I think it's the best course I've seen online. Well, when we did it, Maddie, we actually looked at other YouTube courses, and they were just so strenuous and so out there for the regular person, and they didn't even talk about technical analysis. So we took the Crypto Charge approach, and we made a course, 45 minutes, so you can take that. That would be the first thing, and that's the other thing is like, you follow these other people, and they don't really give you a roadmap on how to approach crypto. Here's our roadmap. Join Crypto Charge, take the beginner's course, and then from there, you'll know where to go. You'll watch the daily shows. You'll be able to look at the tools, coin library. You'll be able to hop in the Discord with other members, ask questions, see what everyone else is looking at. And then the last thing for you experts out there that love trading, we have a community of traders. Maddie is a trader. I look at every single one of Maddie's trades, and those are ballers. So, Maddie, any upcoming trades in the Discord that I should be aware of?
Yeah, so we're in a Casper trade right now. You guys can take a quick look to kind of see what this looks like in the Discord when you were there. I keep it pretty simple for you guys. Like, for example, here, I gave this out on February 21st. So I said, Mexi is going to obviously limit your Casper position size just because they're doing weird stuff with liquidity right now. But I'm going leverage long here. I'm looking for a pullback here to retest towards the top of the pivot zone. And they also provide a little infographic here. So I identify the pivot zone so you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't have to just guess these technical terms. I also talk about the break of the flag here and kind of point out why I'm showing that this is actually a reversing trend and not just a retest of resistance. Showed the double bottom or W pattern here, showing that we had additional confirmation and we were looking for an entry here. Pulled back very nicely into our entry, and we're currently sitting in a very nice profit off of that initial entry point. And we obviously are looking for a much higher TP long term here. But this is how simple it can be: is that we give you your stop loss here, the entry, and the take profit. Obviously, I really, really want you guys, especially if you're new to leverage trading, to watch our leverage trading tutorial. Again, guys, none of this stuff is stuff we expect you guys to know. It's stuff that we at least give you guys resources to. But you have to still use the resources, right? You're going to make mistakes. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to potentially lose a lot of money if you don't go and use those resources, right? So I try to give you guys the easy route once you've gone through the resources. And that's really what I think what sets us apart from the rest of the other programs out there, right? It's one thing to give people the ability to enter the trades you're entering, but it's another thing to give you guys the tools and the know-how and the risk management and understanding how to manage your portfolio, how to manage stop losses actively through a trade, how to split your trade into multiple trades. We give you guys a lot of that strategy, so you fully are understanding what you're doing, what leverage is, how dangerous leverage can be if used improperly, right? I'm not the person out here giving hypey trades. I'm not here giving you guys 6 trades a week. I'm going and I'm finding a handful of good quality setups, and then we go ahead and jump in those if they fill, and sometimes they don't fill. But that's, again, part of the process. I want to teach you guys to be good, patient, and objective traders. And if that's something you guys are interested in, on top of, learning how to build a long-term portfolio or exit plans or the ROIs, this is a big value that I know a lot of people are really enjoying, is taking their own trades. We have members who are now actively taking their own trades without my help at all. And that's genuinely, again, the goal here, is to make you guys self-sufficient, to make you guys educated, to make you guys confident that you can, if you wanted to, at some point in the future, do this all on your own.
I like that, Maddie, and I'm super excited for the coming weeks just to watch my altcoins go crazy. I'm excited to see, because this has been a long time coming, and I've been I've been not emotional at all, and I've said in previous shows, like, I would be looking for that red in that coin stats showing that the markets is going down, altcoins are still going down, and I knew I was DCAing, and I knew that was the right thing, because now all my altcoins are up substantially. Like XRP's up huge. Zcash is making its way up. Casper, it had a little pullback today. A little bit pullback, a little bit. You can't just go up in a straight line, Maddie. But I'm very excited for these altcoins, Matt, and I know you are too. And I think our upcoming months are going to be super special, and I'm very excited to celebrate in the Discord with all of you guys, because I know we throw memes and stuff in there and joke around, but this is the moment that we set out for. This is like everything coming together during this year. So I'm very excited for that team. Maddie, anything to leave the team with here? We do have at the Ask Maddie show, 2:30 p.m. Pacific on Wednesday this week. So if you have questions, make sure to leave it in the comment section down below. And if you got some good content, we talked about Bitcoin. I mean, we talked a lot at the top here about what we're doing, our altcoins, what we're doing at Crypto Charge. We talked about the stupid AI machine learning tech from pricepredictions.com. We talked about NFTs. We talked about a lot of good stuff today, and we have a lot more to come. So if you got anything good out of this, make sure you like the video. Maddie, last commentary to leave the team with here.
Yeah, I actually just want to give a shout out to our existing team, all of our members that have been with us here since day one. A lot of you guys sat through the majority of your education in a bear market. I know a lot of you guys are better off for it. And I'm really grateful for you guys, grateful for you guys trusting the process, trusting us. And I know a lot of you guys are just better off for it, both with just your education, your emotions, and a lot of you guys have built a really, really excellent portfolio. I'm almost more excited to see where you guys end up with your portfolios than where I end up with my own portfolio, just because I know some of you guys have crafted things slightly different than me, but still kind of taken a lot of the fundamentals I've given you. So I'm very excited for that. If you guys want to be joining in with us, being excited in this next part of the rally, taking profits together, right? Not just screaming higher prices and kind of keeping each other level-headed, right? Making sure we're not flying too close to the sun, right? Come check us out. 30 days free, no matter what membership you pick. That's more than enough time to get through the beginner's course. You could probably, if you wanted to, knock out our entire library on that 30-day free trial. And then you can get in the Discord, ask some questions, and of course, check out some of our trade ideas over the next few weeks, okay? So guys, check it out. Code YouTube gets you 50% off any membership. And that's all I got for you guys.
All right, T, we'll see you on Wednesday. I'm excited to see how our altcoins are doing by then. But until Wednesday, bye.